Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be touring my entire philodendron collection. They are a part of over 100 plants that I keep in this 2-bedroom apartment here in New York City. I have a lot of aroids, mostly anthuriums. There aren't as many philodendrons as there were once upon a time, so this isn't going to be the longest and most extensive of videos, but the ones that I've kept I kind of have a soft spot for, so grab a cup of tea and, let's get started. Now first up is this Philodendron Plowmanii. This one was actually an import from Ecuador, I believe. Yes, it was an import from Ecuador, and I don't really have too much to say about this. This is super duper easygoing. This sits on my bedroom shelf. It's one of only 2 philodendrons that actually live in the bedroom. Everything else is out here or I've gotten rid of. Like I said, I'm not much of a philodendron person these days, but the big juicy leaves of this one really appeal to me, so I've kept it because I think they're quite cute. It's growing a little weird and wonky. It's in a crawling pot, but it's sort of, I don't know, it grew up and now it's crawling again, but it's not really, I don't know, I'm going to have to realign it in the pot to sort out its orientation, but I think this is really a good one as crawlers go. The growth pattern is compact, doesn't take up too much space, That's generally the problem with crawlers, but I don't mind this one, Philodendron Plowmanii. And next up, this is a weird one. This, believe it or not, is a Philodendron Esmeraldense. Now, this Esmeraldense, I've had it for 2 years. No, you didn't hear that wrong. I have had this for 2 years. And in those 2 years, it has lived in this tiny pot, always under the bare minimum of light, just clinging to life against all the odds. Now, it needs to be potted up and it needs a moss pole because this is what it's supposed to look like. Like this is a Philodendron Esmeraldense. And this is what I have. If I were to pot this guy up and give it a pull, I have no doubt that it would size up nicely and probably actually start to look quite good. So maybe I'll put in the effort and see what it can grow to be. But for now, it's just sitting on a shelf in my bedroom in the farthest of deep dark corners. Just doing its thing, really. No fuss, this one. Now, number 3 is everybody's favorite. Well, not everybody's, but lots of people's favorites. Philodendron Gloriosum. This Gloriosum was imported from Ecuador. I don't even know when I imported it, but it's just, I've cut it, I've chopped it multiple times. It has sent out multiple babies and siblings into the world, and this is what I've kept. It's a little bit unruly, but that's part of the joy of Gloriosum, isn't it? This plant sits under a grow light, not a particularly strong one, actually quite weak. It doesn't get, it gets lots, I think, quite a good amount of water. It's on the thirstier side, but it doesn't really get that much light. I think maybe it could do with, possibly it could do with a little bit more, just because the light is completely overhead and so it's aggressively reaching for that. It's quite prone to spider mites, but it doesn't have any at the moment, which is nice, knock on wood. Now that I've said that, who knows what will happen, right? But for now, it's doing quite well. Isn't she a cutie? Now the next one, does this even really count as an individual plant? I don't know, maybe it's a bit of a cheat, but this is my Philodendron Lupinum. It lives in this cup in my grow tent where it has been for, I don't know, the better part of a year. And because it does not have any additional nutrients, the leaves are getting smaller and smaller. I am planning to put it on a moss pole. I haven't decided whether I'm going to chop it before I put it on the pole or whether I'm just going to stick it on there, stick it in soil and see what happens. You'll have to wait and find out, I guess. What I like about this plant is it has these velvety leaves, but the shape is different from, say, a Micans. It's a bit more triangular. It's very cool. Very interesting. You'd think I would actually pot it up. This along with Esmeraldense are going to be my projects, my summer projects. I'm going to put them on moss poles, and we'll do a really good before and after and see what they can, see what they can do, see what they can grow to look like. So yeah, this is a lupinum. In spite of everything, it's hanging in there, so it's pretty resilient. Next is a plant that I chopped down to nothing. This is what it used to look like when it was in all its glory. I mean, look how big, gorgeous, and beautiful it is. I grew it from quite a small plant that I had imported, but eventually it got fungal. No, was it fungal? I don't know. Something happened and it started defoliating and I just wasn't happy anymore. So I chopped it back to nothing, and just decided to let it go dormant and then start again. And here's the new leaf that it just put out. So this is about maybe a fifth of the size of how big they were before I cut it, but it is encouraging that it's growing again. It's currently working on another leaf, so if I can stay on top of the care this time, I mean, I'd be interested to see whether this guy gets as big as it once was. Still beautiful. Small though it may be, it's still beautiful. Philodendron Rubrocinctum platinum. And now we're getting to the part of the room that's behind me. A lot of the philodendrons in the house actually live right here, so they're quite easy to see. I'll just pull them out one by one so you can see them. This is my Philodendron Micans. This is the oldest philodendron I own. I've had it basically for 4 years now. 4 years? Yeah, 4 years. It actually started off as a tiny 2-inch pot from Gabriella plants, and I put it on a moss pole and I've just extended the pole and it just sits in here. Right now, this plant has not been watered for about a month or something. It's bone dry, and you can see because the leaves are sort of drooping and they're upset with me and they really want some water. But, and this is what I love about this plant, it is so resilient. Once it matures like this, it is so resilient. I always forget to water it. The most it will do is drop some of those leaves down at the bottom. Look, I'll show you. So down at the bottom, there are these sort of reddish looking leaves. This is from me underwatering it and the plant sort of dropping those leaves to, to preserve the rest of its vines. But it's surprisingly it does okay. I'll water it now and it'll be just fine. This is the least troublesome plant in this entire apartment. It does nothing, it's pest resistant, it's drought resistant. It's not even getting that much light. It's literally in a back corner over there, and it does not care. It's fine. It doesn't have that sun stress, but look how deep, look how chocolatey these leaves are. This is a beautiful, beautiful Micans. Oh, my favorite. Philodendron Micans. I'll never get rid of this plant, no matter what I do with the others. This one is always going to be here in one form or the other. Next is a plant that I've shown quite a bit. This is my Philodendron SP Colombia. Now, as you can see, SP Colombia is not having the best time lately. She's completely overgrown in this pot. She needs some kind of a support, but I honestly don't know if I want another ginormous, I don't know, it's too big. And it's just all over the place. So I think I might chop it up. I think I'm gonna chop it, propagate it, and then maybe just keep the top cutting, or I don't know, we'll see how it goes. I thought about air layering it, but honestly, I'm going to be going on a trip soon. I don't really have that much time. So I think the safest thing is to just leave it in water while I'm gone and hope for the best. So that's what I'm going to be doing with this one. I'll be chopping it. And the reason I'm doing that instead of just keeping it on a pole is so many of the leaves are damaged from previous light issues, pest issues, that I just think it might be nice to just have a fresh start and get rid of the ugly ones. Just keep the ones that are nice, one or two. So that's what I'm going to be doing. But in spite of everything, she's still a baddie, isn't she? This is my favorite leaf. See? Philodendron SP Colombia. If you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn the notifications on so you don't miss any of my planty updates. Moving on, we've got another self-heading philodendron. This is my Philodendron Black Cardinal. Honestly, this is another plant that I've had for ages. Look how droopy it is. It's desperate for water. Very, very neglectful of me. I'm about to water it, but recently it got this sort of blight all over the leaves. It's not looking so hot at the moment. But also, I'm in the process of maybe removing most of these self-heading type philodendrons from my space. So I don't think this one's going to be here much longer, but I really, really love the dark chocolatey leaves, so I'm struggling to let it go. I'm going to be keeping it for a little bit longer. I guess I'll reassess. Maybe I'll reassess later in the summer. I do think this is a very easy plant to care for. They're a lot easier to find now than they used to be, and you know, when you clean the leaves up and it's shiny, it's quite a showstopper. Definitely worth keeping around. Next up, this is one that is actually newer to my collection. It needs a repot. It's not an import. I got it from Ecuador, USA, but I haven't potted it up. Since I got it, it's just been sat in the same pot, and it's desperately crying out for some fresh soil, so I'll be doing that shortly. But Philodendron Asplundii. I've actually never seen a mature version of these, so I have no idea what it's supposed to look like, but I can tell you that so far it's been so easy to care for. What's been happening is I've been going for philodendrons that have longer leaves, because I have a lot of these heart-shaped, you know, your more typical ones. I'm trying to find things that are a bit different to look at, and I saw this one and thought it would be cool to add to the bunch. So yeah, I quite like it. The leaves are on the thicker side, so it's actually quite hardy compared to some of the others in my collection. A little bit easy to care for so far. I haven't given it a moss pole yet. I imagine it's going to climb. So that's something that I probably should do, maybe when I repot it, or maybe the next repotting after that. But for now, it's hanging in there, it's doing fine. This is my Asplundii. Next we have, this is probably one of my favorite plants, even though it's still so small. I mean, look at this. This is a Philodendron Majestic. Philodendron Majestic is a hybrid of Philodendron Sodoroi and Verrucosum, and you can tell it's a hybrid because it just grows really, really beautifully. It attached to this moss pole with ease. I haven't got anything. I only put Velcro down here. The rest is the plant doing its thing, and look at how bone dry this moss pole is. It actually does not seem to care too much. It just wants to grow. So look at the markings. I mean, this is still a tiny, small specimen, but look at how pretty these markings are. It's really gorgeous. And then it has, that's, you know, Sodoroi-ish, right? And then it has this red backing. Well, it's not bright red, but you can see the reddishness. That's the Verrucosum in the parentage showing through. I think when this matures, it's going to be such a beautiful, beautiful plant. And it's just a dream to grow, honestly. It's quite easygoing. Of all those Verrucosum hybrids, I do think that this one is my favorite. It's just very sweet, very lovely plant. Okay, next is, this is my current favorite actually of all the philodendrons. I don't know why. I think it's because it's trilobed. Is that what you say, trilobed? The look of these is so, I don't know. It's so Halloweenish to me. Or no, not Halloweenish. It's got Jurassic vibes, that's it. Very Jurassic looking. This is a Philodendron Paloraense. Paloraense or Paloraense. And this one I also got from Ecuador, USA actually. And it's been growing really, really well here. I think I sort of have its care figured out. I keep accidentally knocking out all its soil. So I'm gonna need to go in and fix that. Unfortunately, I just did it again. But other than that, everything is cool. It needs a little bit of watering. The pole is dry. These poles are very hard to keep up with, but one thing I've learned is that it's just not worth stressing about. And if this node is off the pole, the next one will be on it. It's fine. I'll get back to making sure it grows properly. But yeah, so far so good. I recommend this one. It's very easy care, and I do think that it has that wow factor that I think is missing in a lot of my other philodendrons. So yeah, I think this one's definitely a keeper. It just adds a little something to the space. The other thing I love about this, of course, is that it's got this reddishness. Look at the back. There's like red on the backs. I don't know what it is about leaves with red on the backs that I like that much, but I do enjoy it a lot. So yeah, Philodendron Paloraense. This this big girl is my Philodendron Glorious. Glorious. This was actually just one vine, and I chopped it and potted up the cuttings. So God knows how many plants are growing in here now. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a bunch of plants growing in here now. They're all just chaotically doing their own thing. This is one that I actually find difficult to get to properly attach to the pole, but it could be just because I don't water it as frequently as I should. It's also quite easygoing, a little prone to spider mites, but whatever, that's fine. You just treat them and keep it moving. It's a hybrid of, I think this is a hybrid of Melanochrysum and Gloriosum. So that's why it's got these velvety leaves. These get quite massive, huge. Like, I remember when I saw Craig Miller-Randall's specimen, that's what made me want one of these. And I promised myself that this summer I'm going to pay more attention to my moss poles and just get them where they need to be. So I started off by chopping my giant monstera. When I cut that out of the way, it's just freed up so much more light for these. So I'm hoping that I can extend all these poles, water them more frequently, and just really get them to be everything I know they can be. This is my Glorious. In the back there, next to the Glorious, is another Gloriosum. This is a cutting from the one that I showed previously. It's just in this tiny pot. And I don't know, it's in a location here where I always forget it exists and I forget to water it, but it just keeps trucking. Gloriosum is such a slow grower anyway that I don't think it would make a difference, but I keep forgetting to water it. I should probably put it in self-watering just so that it doesn't suffer. But look at it, it's really cute, isn't it? Look at the leaves. I'm thinking about giving this one to a friend of mine later on this summer, but I'll nurture it for her till then. So yeah, this is my Gloriosum number 2. Gloriosum number 2. And then all the way in the back is this Splendid, Philodendron Splendid. Also a hybrid of, what is this a hybrid of? I think this is Verrucosum and Melanochrysum. Yeah, I think that's what this one is. This is supposed to be the easiest one, but I don't know. I'm having difficulty sizing it up. Probably because I don't water it enough. Yeah, it's just always dry. So I should probably water it more and then it would do better. Anyway, it's not hard. It's not hard to care for. I think I have it in a location where I always forget about it. And if I can start paying extra attention to these like I've sworn to this summer, I think I'll start to see some really, really good results because it is beautiful. And it is not difficult at all to care for. You just have to remember that it's actually there. This is my Splendid. Hopefully by the end of the summer, it will look, actually look splendid. It will look even more splendid. I feel like Splendid is such a big name, and you're expecting a real specimen, and this guy looks a bit trash right now. I'm hoping to fix that. Okay, next up is this guy. Now, depending on who you ask, some people will say this is not a philodendron at all. But because there's so much debate, I thought it would make sense to show it. So when I bought this, I bought it as Philodendron Goeldii. Goeldii? Is that how you say the name? Goeldii or Goeldii? Then I was told that they had been reclassified as Thaumatophyllums. So this is a Thaumatophyllum Spruceanum. Then, apparently, Thaumatophyllums were reclassified back to philodendrons. So it's a philodendron all over again? I don't know. So this is my Philodendron / Thaumatophyllum Spruceanum / Goeldii, whatever. I don't know. I'm putting it in this video because I think it belongs in this category. If anyone knows for sure, hit me up in the comments and tell me. But yeah, I think this belongs in this category. So I think all Thaumatophyllums are now philodendrons again. Could be wrong, could be wrong. Anyway, this is a very, very easy care plant. It is big. The footprint is not practical for apartment living, I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna put it down because it's also heavy and ridiculous and I can't even talk about it while I'm holding it. I'll put it here. This plant, the footprint of this plant is not practical for apartment living. It's pretty silly that I have it, but I just couldn't resist. Oh, look at these lobes. When I got it, it didn't have these individual leaflets. As it matured, it got them, and it's supposed to just get more and more of them as it gets bigger and bigger. So these get, I think, quite big and quite crazy. So there's probably a conversation that I need to have with myself down the line about what I'm actually going to do with this tree that I'm growing in my tiny 2-bedroom apartment. But for now, I don't know, I think it just gives the ultimate jungle vibes, right? I'm enjoying it. So cute. So cute. Its care is similar to most other philodendrons, honestly. I water it when it's dry. It gets a lot of light. It's actually right by the south window, which it can take. I think bright to moderate light is fine for this. And, you know, I feed it every time I water it. It does prefer warmer temperatures, so it goes a bit dormant in the winter, but it's fine. I've had this for 3 winters now, so it's okay. It's okay. Thaumatophyllum Spruceanum. I gotta put it down. It's too heavy. Honestly, I'm semi-exhausted after all that. Ah, next up, this is my Philodendron Amazon Spirit. This is a hybrid of Philodendron Spiritus Sancti and Philodendron Patriciae. Yes, that's it. This plant, look at it. It's got a little bit of sun stress. I have it in a very, very sunny spot. It probably would prefer less sun, but I need to figure out my configuration here so I know where to put it. It's coping with the sun okay, so I think I might get away with it, but we'll see. This plant grows fast. It grows quite vigorously. This is the newest leaf. I don't want to disturb it because it's still sort of working on putting it out. It has attached to the moss pole quite easily. It's grown roots into the pole, even though I don't keep this pole as moist as I should, let's be honest. But I think this plant is going to be quite special as it gets bigger. I'd be really interested to see what it ends up looking like. So yeah, Philodendron Amazon Spirit. And speaking of Philodendron Amazon Spirit, this is my baby wee Philodendron Spiritus Sancti. So cute. I got this Spiritus Sancti because I want to see what the difference is between this one and the Amazon Spirit as they grow bigger. Side-by-side comparison will be nice. At the moment, the biggest difference I notice is that these leaves are a lot tougher. They're like thicker. That one has a lot softer leaves. And I know it's not a maturity thing because this is a baby and that one's bigger. So, but yeah, it has thicker leaves. This I got as a tiny plantlet. I think I got it from the Green Escape, and it's settling in just fine. Put out lots of lovely roots, and it's just, you know, it's just doing its thing. It's settling in, growing. Look, there's a nice root there. So I know it's doing well in the medium I've put it in. Yeah, it's cute, right? I got this because I want to grow it in my living room corner. I'm waiting for it to get a bit bigger before I put it there. Otherwise, it just looks a bit daft, doesn't it? Just this tiny plant in this massive corner. So watch this space and see how I style this as it gets bigger. Okay, we're coming close to the end now. I told you I didn't have that many philodendrons. Although it does feel like I've shown an awful lot of plants for someone who isn't supposed to have very many philodendrons. Anyway, the next philodendron is in the corner here. This Philodendron Prince of Orange. Now this plant used to be a real striking specimen. It used to be amazing. But then I got the bright idea to repot it into terracotta, and that's been a total disaster because it's just too dry. It just dries out too quickly, and I'm not one. I'm definitely a bit of an underwaterer. So it just, at least with my philodendrons, it has really suffered. It recently flowered, and this is the first leaf after the flower. It's a little tiny and mildly weird looking, so I know the plant is not at its best. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to have this. I think I might repot it into plastic and just see if I can get it looking happy again. It's quite an old guy. Look at its stem, thick and old, so it's been here for a while. But yeah, this is a very easy plant. Perfect beginner philodendron, if you ask me. Super easy to care for. It can look nice and showy, has good colors. Yeah, I think this is a really good one if you're just looking to get into plants. I recommend it. And now for the grand finale. Last but not least, come to the end of the show. We've come to the end of the show. This guy. This is my Philodendron Billietiae. Hey, Billy. It is on an extended moss pole. It's just won a battle with a bout of spider mites, so look at this poor leaf. But it's doing fine because, you know, look at this one. So it sits in the corner of my living room. I recently repotted it and gave it fresh soil and this moss pole, and it's doing really well. This is another one that's so easy to care for. This plant basically grows itself, but it's very vigorous, so you just need to be prepared. It has crazy wingspan. I had to tame it by pulling all these leaves together because I just don't have space for the madness that was happening. So yeah, this is the last of my Philodendron Billietiae. And that's it. That's my entire philodendron collection, guys. I think it's going to evolve over the summer, so maybe I'll do one of these again at the end of the summer, just so you can see if I've kept my word and if my velvet poles are doing any better. And also, whether I get rid of the self-headers or whether I keep them. How does the collection evolve? Does the Amazon spirit grow? What do the leaves look like when they get longer and longer? I don't know. You'll have to come back to find out, okay? Till next time, I'll see you